Hello fellow introverts and welcome back to the channel. If you have not noticed, it is officially pumpkin spice season, or Han Solo season. So for those of us who are more interested in using our DL44 than snorting pumpkin spice, I've got something for you. It is in fact spooky season. It is upon us, and for those who are not satisfied by the depiction of ghosts on TV or in books, these allegedly haunted places in PA are gateways to experience those on the other side. Firstly, if you're on the eastern part of the state, we have Eastern State Penitentiary, located in Philly, PA. The Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia is known as America's most historic prison due to its long history of housing over 85,000 inmates, including Scarface Al Capone, dating back over 180 years. This site is likely haunted because of the inhuman punishments used on the prisoners, including water bath, which involved dunking prisoners in water, hanging them outside in the winter, and the iron gag, which sliced their tongues with every small movement in their mouth. The now crumbling penitentiary has been featured in TV programs such as Ghost Adventures and is visited quite frequently by ghost hunters. Tales of the hauntings date back from the 1940s from inmates, guards, visitors, and others. Each cell houses its own paranormal history. People have experienced hearing voices and cackling in cell 12, seen figures on the walls in cell 6, and seen unnatural faces in cell 4. Lots of visitors say that they've seen outlines of guards in a tower. The next one, Centralia in Columbia County, PA. This abandoned ghost town features a perpetual underground fire that started in 1962, which makes steam rise from the ground. Similar to the depiction of hell, many cemeteries, a cracked highway, there isn't a soul in sight. Living soul, anyways. There are some ghost stories and even creatures that haunt Centralia. One ghost is supposedly that of Alexander Ray, the town's founder, who was murdered in his buggy by a gang. This town is also the inspiration for the Silent Hill series. Next, Pennhurst State School and Hospital, Spring City, PA. This mental asylum was home to thousands of children who were considered mentally disabled and were abandoned by their parents. Many immigrants, criminals, and orphans were also housed in the Pennhurst State School and Hospital. All of them were tortured. This hell on earth, as some people have called it, welcomed its first patient, there was air quotes there, in November 1908. It was eventually closed after a legal battle following a local news station exposing the horrible treatment inhabitants were forced to endure. Now many ghost hunters have explored the asylum and tried to talk to the spirits who were supposedly trapped in the asylum. People have experienced slamming doors, unaccounted for footsteps, voices, crying, the sounds of vomiting, children playing has also been heard. There has specifically been a report of a little girl walking around Pennhurst looking confused. To add to the dark history of the place, there have been reports of satanic worshippers have performed ceremonies in Pennhurst. Hillview Manor in Newcastle, PA. Hillview Manor was originally known as the Lawrence County Home for the Aged and was the home of mentally ill and elderly people who had nowhere to go. Apparently, back in the day, they thought mentally ill and old were the same. I don't know. According to Visit PA, there's a tale of a spirit named Jeffrey, who's a little boy who still calls Hillview Manor home, even after dying. According to legends, if you see a 6 or 7-year-old boy while visiting, you will die shortly after. That sucks. In room 105, visitors have reported seeing Mary Virginia, a former patient. There are other various reports of voices, footsteps, being touched, slamming doors, things moving by themselves, and apparition sightings. If you want to experience this for yourself, Haunted Hill Manor will allow public investigations, including overnight ones. Y'all let me know how that goes, cause that's not my jam. Sorry. Now, the Quality Inn at General Lee's headquarters in Gettysburg. If you're looking for a supposedly haunted place to stay in Gettysburg, the Quality Inn is a great option. Now, I was unaware that they had the Quality Inn during the Civil War, but apparently, some things get overlooked. Considering it was the Civil War. It served as General Lee's headquarters when it was built in 1863 and has since been turned into a hotel. There have been numerous reports of workers and hotel guests of paranormal activities such as the sound of gunshots hitting the building, front door opening on its own, lights being flickered on and off by themselves. One case included a 75-pound laundry cart moving on its own. Now, Miss Betsy Ross's house in Philly. Betsy Ross, for those of you who don't know, she is charged with the one who first made the American flag. She resided in Philly, PA. Her house is now host to many ghostly legends. Ross's grave is at the house, and it is where Charles Weisgerber, who penned Birth of Our Nation and who preserved Ross's house, died. According to Visit PA, visitors have seen and heard Ross crying in her home where her spirit supposedly remains after having suffered from losing her husband. She was married 3 times, and the death of her children. Fort Mifflin in Philly still stands after the British fired over 10,000 cannonballs at it during the Revolutionary War. About 350 American soldiers died in November 1777 during the bombardment. Later, during the Civil War, thousands of soldiers died in a prison under the fort from starvation and disease. It was named one of the most haunted places in the world by the History Channel and Travel Channel. People have reported orbs, apparitions, and strange voices. There have even been reports of seeing soldiers cleaning guns and smelling wood fire. Many people have said they have seen the faceless man who walks the property wearing Civil War attire. Some say it is the ghost of William H. Howe, who was executed during the war at the fort. Harrisburg State Hospital in, you guessed it, Harrisburg, PA. The Harrisburg State Hospital, formerly known as the Pennsylvania State Lunatic Hospital, from its opening in 1851 until 1937, the hospital stopped operating in 2006 and is now used as office space. What a great use of a historical building. Reports of paranormal activity include screams, unexplained noises, shadows, apparitions, and disembodied footsteps. The exam room in the morgue, which is considered one of the most haunted places of the former hospital, allegedly has stains that look like blood on the floor. So, wait. Let me get this straight. You take this haunted mental asylum and you pimp it out as office space, and then you fuckers don't even take out, like, the embalming room and shit? Oh, alright. And then, oh no, that's not blood. Somebody just spilled their coffee. It's fine. Don't worry about it. What the f... The places that have the most activity besides the morgue also include the basement and the tunnels underneath the basement. It was also apparently the location of a very aggressive poltergeist situation. I just don't know. Next, Old Jail Museum, Jim Thorpe, in Jim Thorpe, PA. The jail had 27 cells and a basement, which had dungeon cells for solitary confinement, and is most known for being the site of where several Irish coal miners, a part of the secret society known as Molly Maguires, were hanged. One of the men, thought to be Thomas Fisher, claimed that he was innocent, and before the hanging, put his hands on the dirty floor of his cell and put it on the was supposed, proclaiming, "This handprint will remain as proof of my innocence." The handprint remains today despite many efforts to remove it, including replastering the wall, painting, and washing. According to the Old Jail Museum, many visitors have reported strange happenings. Hotel Bethlehem in Bethlehem, PA. The Hotel Bethlehem is on the site of Bethlehem's first house, which was constructed in 1741. The Eagle Hotel took its place in 1823. The Hotel Bethlehem replaced the Eagle Hotel in 1921. According to the hotel, there are 4 resident ghosts. The spirits may include May Yohe, Lady Frances Hope, whose grandfather owned the Eagle Hotel. Yohe was born in the hotel and was a singer. Today there have been accounts of her hanging around the lobby and on the 3rd floor exercise room. The piano turns on by itself, which people account to Yohe. Frances' daddy, Thomas, is another spirit who was Bethlehem's town guide. Thomas died in 1822 and supposedly still tries to entertain visitors. Thomas has been sighted in the boiler room. That's a terrible place to entertain visitors. Mrs. Brong was one of the landlords with her husband, Mr. Brong, for 6 months. Mrs. Brong did not wear her shoes or stockings very often and would usually greet guests in bare feet. There have been reports of barefoot women roaming around the kitchen and restaurant, which people believe to be Mrs. Brong. The other spirit has not been identified, but allegedly haunts room 932 on the 9th floor. There are pictures of orbs in the room. Guests with no knowledge of the hotel reported papers standing upright and flying off desks, lamps flashing, and the bathroom wallpaper turning pink. A couple who stayed in the room said they were awoken by a man next to the bed who asked them why they were in his room. Paranormal investigators recorded voices in the room, including, "It's Mary. What a beautiful bathroom. I've locked myself in the closet. and look out the window. Gettysburg Battlefield in Gettysburg, PA. Another Gettysburg location that is reported very haunted by the Gettysburg Battlefield, where the Civil War's bloodiest battle took place. The Battle of Gettysburg. There were about 51,000 casualties. There have been reports of soldiers whose spirits have not passed on walking around the battlefield, orbs, and the sound of marching, gunfire, and music at the battlefield. University of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, PA. Supposedly, the University of Pittsburgh has several buildings that are haunted, including the Cathedral of Learning, William Pitt Union, and some resident hall such as the Ruskin Hall and Center Plaza. A former Pitt custodian supposedly made a bed in the upstairs area of the cathedral, and when he returned to the room, there was an indent in the pillow as if somebody had, or was, laying down, and the cover was moved. The Croghan Shenley Ballroom has had apparitions observed by Mary Shenley. The room was originally a part of the mansion that was built for her by Mary's father. There have also been stories of moving furniture. Students have also reported incidents of unexplained noises in some dorm halls, such as Ruskin Hall. There's also a story of a ballerina who lived in William Pitt Union when it was a hotel and frequently overslept and missed her rehearsals. As a result, she was cut and committed suicide. Now she haunts the William Pitt Union. Now we have Booby's Brewery, Mountjoy, PA. This originally small brewery was bought by one of its workers, Aloise Booby, and made into the Booby's Brewery that exists today. The brewery is about 150 years old now and is still open for people to come and enjoy a meal and drink. It features creepy catacombs where the guests can dine. People have experienced a ghost on the second floor ballroom. However, the most common report is of a young lady walking through the art gallery in a long dress. The crew of Ghost Adventures investigated the property in 2012. The Devil's Den, Gettysburg, PA. The Devil's Den was the site of a huge battle during the Civil War on July 2nd, 1863. In that battle, the Union Army lost 23,000 soldiers, and the Confederates lost over 28,000 men. Those who died there were not buried for days and weeks, and some were supposedly never buried. Instead, thrown into crevices of the boulders. There were 2 reports of women in the 1970s who were out visiting the battlefield and encountered an unkempt man. One woman said he appeared behind her and asked why she was looking at the rocks and pointed at them. When she turned to see what he was pointing, he had disappeared. Another woman photographed a man who looked similar to the first woman's description a month later. Since the original reported incidents, there have been numerous other reports of ghost activities at Devil's Den. The Mishler Theater in Altoona, PA. The Mishler Theater was built in Altoona, Pennsylvania in 1906, beginning operations on February 15th. It was the first theater in America to be completely dedicated to theatrical productions. In October of that year, it was destroyed by a fire and was rebuilt. It is now apparently haunted by Isaac Charles Mishler, whom the theater was designed for. A dog who often howls, a female ghost who plays pranks on people in the bathroom. Kathy's Church, Muncie, PA. Kathy Van Dyne, a former resident of Millersville from the 1800s, was buried in a tiny, white church. Van Dyne ended up hanging herself from a tree on the church's grounds. There are 2 legends circulating regarding her death. Some says she became pregnant before marriage and was outcast by her peers. Others state that she was a mistress of a married man and became pregnant, and the man accused her of witchcraft instead of admitting the baby was his. Van Dyne was apparently hanged for being a witch. There have been stories of locals about seeing blood dripping down from church windows, seeing a noose in the tree near the grave, seeing her ghost walk around the church, and voices and screams coming from the church. People have also stated having issues with their cars when near the church. However, a supposed descendant of Kathy, Catherine Van Dyne, says all the stories are not true and that she was just a member of the church who attended services until she died at 87 years old. The church is still operational and has services. So there you guys have it. If you happen to visit PA during pumpkin spice season, I would recommend, if being scared shitless is your jam, stop into one of these places. I do believe the majority of them have guided ghost tours and could be unforgettable. And with that, I will talk to you nerds later.